So, Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust, 17,500 staff. Last year I like data, so last year 3,240 new starters. Our turnover rate's about 12%. It's increasing slightly, but it's fairly stable, and for nurses it's actually going down. And a large part of that is around the journey that the organisation has been on since our Chief Executive Julian Hartley joined. We had a big campaign around what are our values, what are our goals. We used a crowdsourcing platform to gather views of staff. We do our staff survey on the same platform. We survey all our staff. Just got the survey results in now. We've had a return rate of about 50% this year. Last year it was nearer 60%. So we're a large organisation. Some of the data is, porters walk about 14 miles a day. We have 6 main sites. We're part of a pilot called Scan for Safety, so every location has a barcode. So we have 24,000 physical locations. That ranges from wards to minor cupboards, so the cupboards over to that side would have their own location. £1.2 billion budget, and we have 18 main clinical business units, CSUs, clinical service or support units. So basically we're massive. Key drivers. So 2014, new director of HR came in. Part of his induction, he went round the organisation. Most of the managers went. The big 3 issues are informatics, information infrastructure, estate and recruitment. So as part of that, I did a review around the recruitment services, came up with a new structure, and that's a bit of what I've talked about so far. The other part is that I was already leading this Improving the Employee Journey project, which was really looking at how do we engage new starters and how do we engage people as they go through the organisation. So on the back of that, we were working with a partner. Careers site was where we started. We've now got an onboarding system, which is where we got the award, thank you very much, which I'll come back to. Obviously, I have to say award-winning onboarding system, otherwise my team get irritated with me. So we're working with the teams. What we're trying to do is integrate our teams more closely, because it still confuses me that medical staffing do a pre-employment check differently to corporate central recruitment, even though it's to NHS employer standards. So we're trying to train people to work closely together, cross-cover, and it's not going as quickly as I like, but we are getting there. We still have the challenges because, as I said, in terms of nurse recruitment, we recruit about 560 a year. The outputs from the 2 local universities is about 350. So it's that challenge of being collaborative yet being in competition for staff. So for our intake of new nurses for September, the adverts will go out in the next couple of weeks. So we're starting process. We run the risk then of losing people through the process, because I don't know what your dropout rate was, Cash, over that 9 months, but for us around recruiting nurses now is that we'll generally have scattergun approach. We might lose some people through the whole process, but that's what we're aiming to do. So this is our careers site. So there's the link there. Very nice video at the top, which basically our Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Mr. David Berridge, does a very, very nice, he's got such a professional voiceover. It's brilliant, so we nicked that. What we have is featured jobs, which we change on a regular basis, update and provide a lot of information, and people can register on the site. So we had a bit of debate around, should we have people register, how should we do it, because we've embedded NHS jobs into the site, so the vacancies is NHS jobs. A lot of debate around how do we do that, is it duplication, but every week for those people that registered that have said they're interested in a particular job, they get an email, they get an alert. So when we're having career events, we do the same thing. So we just highlight that process, and email goes out, alerts around jobs, but also events that we're running. So it works quite well. We've got about 3,300 people registered on the site. We send out probably about 1,500 emails a week, and it's working quite well. What we need to do, because it's a standalone system, we haven't got integration with NHS jobs, we haven't got integration with electronic staff record, which is the NHS payroll HR system. Despite regular conversations, I'm trying to irritate them so they'll agree to just see me and we can have a chat about how to get that integrated, because at the moment it's standalone. So that's the careers site, that's where we started. But what we got the award for is this thing. it doesn't normally have the arrows on it. So that's Julian Hartley, our Chief Executive. So on the careers site, there's a video of him saying, welcome, thank you for having a look at our jobs. Here, this is onboarding. So when we send out our conditional offers to people from this point, so we get notification from the manager or from various sources. We then send an email out to the individual, say, congratulations, log on to this system and go through. So two main aims of this system. One is that people fill in all their pre-employment checks. So that's the top bar, highlighted in red, pre-employment checklist. It's absolutely tailored to every different role. So a new junior doctor, foundation year 1, will see something different to a foundation year 2, to a specialist, to a non-medical. It's totally tailored. Day 1 is around induction, so people will see where to go. We've got effectively Google Maps embedded into it, so they can search in terms of which building they go to. There's lots of information there. We have benefits, so around NHS benefits of working both locally and nationally. As our next version of onboarding, we're going to expand that bit because I think that's a bit bland and doesn't really tell the full story. News and social media, links to our Trust Facebook page, the at LTHT_people, which is the HR Twitter account, and some other bits and pieces. Again, we need to think about social media, because when I spoke to some schools, children, they just laughed when people asked if they were on Facebook. They don't do Facebook, they've moved on to other stuff, which I don't understand. And then the last bit is your onboarding status, which basically states where people are. We tend to get about 100 phone calls, emails a day from candidates or managers. So that's reduced that. Our next product is a line manager portal, which is basically line manager view of that system, plus all our HR forms in an interactive form, because at the moment we tend to get errors and we have to send forms back about 20 to 30% of the time. This will be interactive, so hopefully we'll get that to 0, but knowing some of our managers, we won't make 0 because they'll find some way of messing it up, because they're very inventive and clever and work around everything. But so we're in user acceptance testing for Line Manager Portal right now. We hope to go live next month with a couple of CSUs, our clinical service units, then roll out from April across the rest of the organisation. So really that should then cut out all the need for all those phone calls and queries about where people are with the status, because it will show clearly where we are in terms of collecting references, DBS check, which is our biggest delay, waiting for the police to return them cash. Good job you're not the Met. Oh, heart sinks when somebody says, yeah, I've lived in the London area. So, well, that's 3 months of the life waiting to go out, but it's not. So basically, Line Manager Portal's the next bit. This has really helped us. So the individual books their own pre-employment check. So before we'd have 15, 20-minute conversation between our team and the individual about what forms to bring, when to come, and all the rest of it, all online. They fill in all the forms. It tells them exactly what documents to bring, what dates they need to be in, and they still fail. But we still have a failure rate. But we've reduced significantly the failure rate, reduced the DNA rate, because we send a text out the day before to say, don't forget, you're coming tomorrow. These are the documents you need to bring. Pre-employment check used to be 90 minutes, fill in forms, sign your name 16 times. Don't have to do that now. It's a 20-minute appointment. If it's anything over 20 minutes, we look at it and try to understand where the delay is. We've restructured the layout of the organisation, so we've changed where people go. It's all more contained, so that should reduce that time again. So we're really sort of driving forward improvements, but onboarding has made such a massive difference. The team love it, the individuals love it, particularly the junior doctors who are doing this could change organisation 3 times a year. They find this so much easier. And last August we onboarded a doctor within 5 days, and they were out of the country at the time because they were sent to us late. They managed to do all the forms, came to us, we checked the documents, and 24-hour delay was around waiting for a blood test back from Occupational Health. Occupational Health love this system as well because they get all their information. It's all confidential. We're not walking around with paper forms. Send information to car parking. It's working really well, and next version will close a lot of the loopholes that we find people actually do.